Hi guys. Okay, so this is Ziki here, hoping that you're all doing very well wherever you are. I had always been promising that I was going to come out live, but unfortunately, my network has been acting up funny. But today, I think I was able to correct the mistake or to identify the mistake. I don't know. I am still yet to see if this is going to work. Yeah, so today is Africa Day. Yes, people are celebrating Africa, everything Africa, but we know Kuti, our African continent has got its good, has got its bad, has got its success stories and everything. And like the heading for our discussion today is about the youth, okay, the involvement of the youth in development and also the challenges that they are facing. And then I also realized that, if I just talk of the youth in general, it's so broad. So since I always focus on SADC news, I decided to narrow it down to SADC youth, okay? I decided to narrow it down to SADC youth, the challenges that they face, and possible solutions to some of the problems that are faced by youth in SADC. Now, as we know that in SADC, we have about 16 countries there, and of all those countries, there's been problems after problems in terms of challenges that the youth have been facing. Wherever there is a problem in any country, those who get affected more are usually the youth. And also with the report that says that the youth make up about 1/3 of the world. So you can see it's a huge, population of the youth. Therefore, it is the youth that are the backbone of any economy, of any community, of any society. Okay, so this is what we are going to be talking about today. And of course, with if there is no any problems with the network, I'm going to put the what you call the link for people to join into the stream, okay? And then we can move on with our discussion. You can just be talking from the topic that we're covering today, SADC youth challenges and possible solutions. This is what we are talking about today, okay? Now let us see, some of the challenges that have been falling into SADC. We have countries like Namibia. There have been a lot of challenges in Namibia, and of course, everything affecting the youth there. And also, this is when we saw the youth of Namibia, protesting, getting into the streets, airing their grievances. Yes. Now we move to South Africa again. We also saw in South Africa an unemployment, and all these hardships that the youth is facing, and then the youth also ending up putting matters into their own hands in trying to solve their problems. Then we are seeing now, organizations coming out, like Operation Dudula and everything being led by the youth in order, to correct what they call the ills in the societies. Okay, we have Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, we are seeing the economic challenges that are there. We're also seeing, the issue of sanctions being brought forward. We are seeing, prices going up and everything. And all those things, they still come back to fall on the youth heavily. All right. Now we move to Angola. In Angola, we also saw human rights, abuses. We also saw challenges with the economy, with the youth being unemployed, no support projects for the youth. Okay, and we moved to Eswatini. Eswatini again, they're fighting political, issues there in terms of democracy, in terms of wanting to change the monarchy and everything. All those issues again, they come back to affect the SADC youth. Okay, we have Mozambique. In Mozambique, we saw the challenges that were there. The displacement of people due to conflicts that were there, the rebels, the families being torn apart, the youth failing to go to school and everything. Those are the challenges that were being faced by the youth in Mozambique. We come to Lesotho, same thing, problems all over, and we're seeing the youth coming out to march that they would rather have Lesotho be part of South Africa than all these challenges that they are facing. Okay, and we move to Zambia. Again, economic crisis, unemployment, and also, just giving hope in the new government, led by AJ, that maybe one day they're going to be able to, to bring solution to this, okay? And we have Malawi, same applies in Malawi. We saw the youth protesting, saying that, the president is taking too long to give the resolutions of their campaigning. We are still unemployed, no projects, no nothing for the youth. The youth are suffering a lot. And we saw the DRC, same applies, unrest, economic challenges, and many other things there. So you can see that from all these things, when we put them together, including Botswana, Seychelles, Madagascar, if you put all those things together, they just point that the youth in our region are really suffering. Now, when we see all these challenges, now we ask the question, what is the way forward? What is the role of the youth in all this, in solving these things? What can the youth do? Okay, so this is what we want to talk about today. On top of everything that I've spoken about, we also have, things that have been added by natural disasters in the region. We had COVID pandemic in the region, so many things, and all that getting on the youth. And then this is when we begin to see that the youth become frustrated. When there is no employment, the youth get frustrated, right? This is when you see them starting to engage in some other, issues like getting involved in drugs, getting involved in prostitution. This is when you see young girls getting married early, becoming drug mules. All those challenges, they come and they all fall on the youth. And we are saying, as we commemorate Africa Day, what is the way forward for the youth? And now we have narrowed down to SADC youth. So we are united. So we are saying, as SADC youth, what can we do united, or even in our own personal capacities, or even in our own communities? What can we do, all right, in order to face these challenges and to overcome them? Okay, thank you so much, RM Malema. I don't know. You're welcome.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Actually, I just joined not so long ago, but I managed to hear exactly what you were talking about, Africa, SADC, and everything. So I'm here actually. I'm very not happy. Today I decided not to celebrate Africa Day because there's nothing to celebrate really. And I'm saying this because I realized that I'm actually from South Africa. I'm based in London, but I just came back last week. I came back to South Africa. So when I came back here, there's no electricity and all those problems that we are facing. And my problem actually, it's I want to actually as a whole because I really do follow what is happening in Africa, especially in SADC region. So we have seen what was happening in Namibia, for example. So where there was a very serious problem, and when there is smoke, there's fire, and then we have realized now in even people that are not even living in or who have never been to Zambia. In Namibia, I've been to even Zambia as well. Even though if you've been to Zambia or in Namibia as well, you'll realize that China, where you are, Chinese, they've taken over. So that's where the problem is because the opportunities, everything, the construction. I'm into construction myself, and I've realized that everything they've taken over, the Chinese. If you look at the roads, it's Chinese. And if you look at the airport, everything that has to do with the development, Chinese are there. And this thing is not even something that we can say it's only happening in Zambia and also maybe in Namibia, even here in South Africa. If you go to power station, the new power station, Kusile, which was the power station that is still under construction after so many years, I think for almost more than 10 years construction. And according to the plan, according to the schedule, it was supposed to be finished, I think somewhere just around, is it 2012, somewhere there. You can imagine. And then the Chinese are also there, involved there, So why am I
Okay, so what RM was talking about, like I said, he was talking about what is happening in Namibia and also the challenges that are being faced by youth in South Africa. Speaking of what is happening again in Zambia, all those issues and everything that is affecting SADC youth. Yes, we can also include even what is happening to Zimbabwean youth. You can see what is happening there, and them also being caught up in the issue of immigration and everything. It just goes to show that things are not well for the African youth.
hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. There's a problem of load shedding where I am. Yeah, like I said,
Oh,
I just came back from UK. So yeah, the challenges. So those are one of the things that I'm not really happy about in terms of Africa. I cannot celebrate Africa because Africa is actually going backwards. I mean, if you look at, for example, uh, yeah, like I said, I think in Africa we have got a problem of leadership, and then we have got these old people in the ANC, in the ZANU PF, in SWAPO, in Podemo in Swaziland. They are all over 60. And then they're
mm-hmm.
talking of the future, and the future is the youth that are unemployed. Most of our African brothers and sisters are very educated because the education they gave education in South Africa, for example, education now is free. So, and in Zimbabwe and all those other countries as well, people are finding all means. Like even if you are poor, you will try by all means to get education. And in this education, it means people become more educated, but they don't even get employed. So they get frustrated and everything. And what is happening in Namibia, for example, this is what is going to happen in the rest of Africa. And I feel like in Namibia, because if you look at what is happening in Namibia, they were complaining about how the government was treating the Chinese versus how they treat their people, their own people. And that is what is happening even in Zambia. If you go to Zambia, China took over everything that is in China. I mean, everything in Zambia, almost everything, it's owned by the Chinese, or Chinese somewhere, somehow they're involved. And then now, with the exclusion of the youth, and this youth, they become more educated and frustrated. We're talking about
Mm.
people with the doctors, people that are very, very educated. Today, we're talking of Africa. You can't celebrate Africa. Well, Africa is still people. The Africans are becoming very poor day
Yeah.
by day, and then this thing is as a result of us as Africans. We rely and we want to rely on the politicians, on our politicians. And then last when I was checking the news, I heard about the so-called the ZANU PF in they call it Santen branch. So meaning those people, I mean, how can you be proud, Santen? How can you be proud that you are Zimbabweans are very poor? And this is not because, I mean, if we look at Zimbabwe, for example, Zimbabweans themselves, they are scattered all over outside Zimbabwe. And why? It's because the reason why Zimbabwe found themselves where they are today, it's because of the leadership. And the so-called leadership, they found themselves where they are. And most of and this is what is happening even in Zambia, for example. Zambians now, they are not working. The youth are not working. The Chinese took over everything. I mean, you go to Namibia as well, it's almost the same thing. And this is what is happening as well in South Africa. And then this thing called xenophobia and whatever, it's also linked in a way that they now Africans, they become so-called what you call slaves, because they give them small. How can you celebrate Africa if the politicians themselves, they get their salaries every year, they get increased. They earning billions, and I mean millions of rent or whatever currency or dollars per year. while the Africans themselves, they are in poverty, then how can we celebrate Africa? How can we celebrate Africa when these things, this situation keeps on happening and we keeps on relying on the politicians themselves? I'm saying the youth must rise and the youth must not really believe and believe in anything that my son name is Malema, but yes, my Julius Malema is my relative. He's actually my somehow my cousin. But as most of the things I don't agree with him. And I'm saying this thing because I don't really believe in those politicians. I don't care whether it's now it's Chamisa in Zimbabwe or whoever in whatever. At the end of the day, the youth and the people in general, we must never ever put our trust in the politicians, because the politicians are not there for us. They are there for their pockets, their own pockets. This thing has been every year, every centuries. I mean, Africans, they keep on becoming poorer and poorer. But we keep on voting for the same people for change. We can never rely on the. I'm saying these things because my heart is very painful to see the youth today in 2020, whether you are in Zimbabwe, whether you are in Kenya, whether you are in wherever you are in Africa, you still believe, you still give hope to a politician who is living in a nice life. You think that that politician will change your life. I think that's where Africans themselves, that's where we're getting wrong. We're getting it wrong. I think we need to rise. We need to create our own jobs. Because we realize that, I mean, this thing of saying the government must create jobs, whatever, let us create our own jobs. Let
Okay.
us hire ourselves and let us believe in ourselves. And let us
Okay.
not allow anyone else, including the politicians themselves, to tell
Okay.
us if we are not happy with something. Hello?
Okay, RM. Okay, I'm going to hold you there. I want to hear what Shingi is going to say. Then I'm going to come back to ask you a question. Shingi?
Okay.
Oh, hi, ZK. How are you?
Hi, welcome.
Yeah. How are you today? Happy
I'm doing
Africa Day.
great. Yes.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think when you live in a different country, I think we tend to look at things in a different perspective. But I do agree with what Mr. Malema is saying with regards to that politicians are the ones who've made the situations of the young people of today to be where it is today. For instance, if you look in each and every African country, even from the West African countries, going to Central Africa and going to Southern Africa, politics, the way it's run in Africa, it's still the same. All these old parties that have been governing and ruling, they don't want to come out of power. If, for instance, if you look at the situation in Cameroon, there is this president called Paul Biya. Paul Biya has been in power, I think, since maybe 1982 or 1980, I don't know. And until now, Paul Biya is still a president of Cameroon, and his government is still running. And all the old people that are in the cabinet, they are the ones that will be just sleeping there, not doing anything, not even giving the young fresh blood the chance to learn. So how are they going to pass the baton to the younger generation if they just want to keep on holding on to power? Yes, if you're an adult, but you need to think of the future. You need to think about what is the future for Africa. So yes, even today, this guy was talking about the way the Chinese, influencing, Africa. Yes, to a certain extent, the Chinese have been our long friends for years. If you look at our liberation struggle, the Chinese, they did help us, especially, I don't know, I'm referring to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, to fight its liberation struggle, the Chinese did a lot of work in helping us, in assisting us. Same as applies with South Africa, the way Fidel Castro did help South Africa, the ANC, when they were fighting apartheid. So there is that sort of bond and that relationship, which is like a diplomatic sort of a relationship. And I know we might be sometimes being biased, because sometimes people, they just feel like support or trade has to be done through people of the West, which many people tend to think like that. Today's decay, I was really, touched, because, here in England, people are celebrating this Diamond Jubilee for Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth. And all the shops and everywhere, people are, like there's a momentum about this Jubilee. And even today on BBC 24, even when I was watching Breakfast Show this morning, they never even spoke about Africa Day. I was only reminded when I rang my sister back home. She's the one who says, oh, we've got like a bank holiday. Today is Africa Day. I said, wow, it's Africa Day. She said, oh, yeah. I said, oh, they've never said anything even here on television. You see what I mean? But we've got a large number of African diaspora here in the UK. So you see how the West, they don't even care about us. They don't even, bother, about, anything that has to do with us, you see. But you would find, like, even South Africa, because it's regarded as a Commonwealth country, they will be celebrating this Diamond Jubilee. I'm telling you, they will be celebrating it, and so it's just that thing that, we, like, as a youth, people, we've all been affected by the way our politicians have led us. And I think it's a cancer. And I don't know how this gonna, how we're gonna get the healing from it. But obviously, these platforms like yours, where people will be independently to talk, I think it's gonna help somehow. It will help, because the momentum is, it's starting through social media, and social media is a very powerful tool. So I'm very grateful for such platforms like this, because it gives, platform to anyone. Because if you look at it especially in Zimbabwe, the media is so controlled, and they don't allow, even the youth sometimes to voice themselves. Everything becomes political. So, but platforms, which are being created now with social media and things like that, the news can spread. So, I'm so grateful for that. Anyway, thank you for now.
Thank you, Shingi. Just listen, and if you have any more contribution, you can come in later. Let's listen to the capitalist.